Hey guys, I'm going to talk about the character Glenn on The Walking Dead, played by Steven Yeun. Steven Yeun is a Korean American actor who played one of the main characters of The Walking Dead. I've been following and watching The Walking Dead since season 1, which was aired almost 5 years ago, I think. And a huge fan of The Walking Dead. It's a very compelling TV series. I love zombie apocalypse movie, but it's more than a zombie apocalypse movie. It's a movie that deals with like humanity and life and death struggles and trusting people and killing people and stuff like that. Just issues that you have to deal with if you were under a lot of stress in life. I mean, post apocalypse. You know what I mean? So what I'm going to talk about Steven Yeun's character, Glenn, on The Walking Dead, because as an Asian American, I find it sometimes weird how the media portrayed us. Usually, Asian characters are portrayed as whimsical, funny, sometimes gay, sometimes really smart, sometimes really muscular and good-looking, and that's how they, get out on top. And what's refreshing about the character Glenn on The Walking Dead is that he's just this average, normal Asian guy who I think I don't read the comic book strip. I don't read the comic book, but I think he's a pizza delivery, person. And anyways, what I find amazing about Glenn was that he's this, character who was surviving, and in his first episode, he was trying to help Rick, but not really helping him. He was just telling him what he needs to do because he was just trying to survive. And Glenn was just running around. We don't know exactly what happened to Glenn's family or if he had a relationship, like a special someone or whatever. But he was mostly a loner, and then he just ended up hooking up with Rick, and Rick and Glenn are like this dynamic duo where it's not like, hey, I'm going to watch you and stuff, but it was more like they just kind of work together really well. Anyways, about maybe 2 years ago or maybe 2 seasons ago, maybe 3, Rick and the group, landed on Marshall's farm, and that's where Glenn met Maggie, and in the beginning, it was just, Maggie had somehow like Glenn. I don't know why. I can't remember exactly what happened, but Maggie basically had the heart for Glenn and chased after Glenn, and Glenn reciprocated, and they've been together since. And last season, not season 5, but season 4, I think the group was separated, and Maggie was in a different group. But Glenn, was loyal to Maggie and, kept on looking for Maggie no matter what. And that's really refreshing. Most Asian male are very loyal, and in the TV series, it portrayed that. And Glenn was with a different group, and there was I think she was like a National Guard. She played the National Guard character. I forget her name, but she really had the heart for Glenn. But Glenn kind of stood his ground and kept on going after Maggie. And I think when they got reunited in season 4, or maybe at the beginning of season 5, Maggie kind of sensed that, which was good, because you always want a female to be on the edge, letting the female know that there's other people out there looking for him. I mean, wanting to be with him. Anyways, what I love about this character Glenn is that, to be a hero, sometimes you have to be muscular, you have to be like freaking badass, whatever. But Glenn is not like that. Glenn's just this average guy who's trying to survive, who's trying to outwit the zombie, trying to figure out people as he's encountering them. The issues of race never came up. The last 2 episodes in season 5, Glenn basically fought back and basically beat up somebody because he was just pissed off at this guy. And Glenn was never like that. Glenn was not very self-assertive. He was more like, okay, I'm going to do my thing, and if you want to be with me, great. But he was never self-assertive. And I think that's great also, because I think for Asian men, sometimes we have a hard time figuring out how we fit in, and we have to kind of navigate the landscape a little bit. and we have to kind of build a confidence and build a following, build resources for yourself, and then you can assert yourself. And I think that's the proper way. If you assert yourself too soon without the proper backing or the resources, you're gonna get shut down really quick. So, really excited about the character Glenn. I hope they keep him around, till the end of the TV series. You know what I mean? I hope Maggie and Glenn, I hope they keep it around. I hope they don't. I hope the TV producer just kind of like write their own script. And I think it's very important for Asian American to support this character, because it's very refreshing how he's being portrayed. None of that stereotypical Asian characters. And I hope they write a really dynamic, character script for Glenn as the TV series progress. I can't wait for season 6. The Walking Dead series, I don't understand. They make it so short, and fans are just like really upset when they end and then it starts over again in the fall. You have to wait so long for it. I want to talk about the dynamic between Maggie and Glenn a little bit. Most Western media portray Asian men as asexual or never score with the females. And Glenn, scores with Maggie, and not just that, it was like Maggie really cares for Glenn. And I don't know why, Glenn is not this badass or anything. He's just this guy who's trying to survive. And if he needs to kill zombies, he will. If he needs to chase after people to rescue Maggie, he will. And I think that's very refreshing in the sense that I think, Western media do not portray Asian men as heroes sometimes. You know what I mean? And the only time Western media portray Asian men is if they're really buff, or if they're really good looking, or if they are really like smart or whatever. We're the model minority, rather than just, hey, here's this average Asian guy. He's just like you and me, and he will show you what he can do if you give him a chance. And that's really refreshing on the character on the TV series.